Okay, so this is going to be a video essay on Sombra jokes. At the top is the normal comp that we have. It's Sombra Brig, Lucio Zen, Ranzaria, and at the bottom is the Ana variation against normal 3-3. This one at the bottom is this one at the top is I think the better option because of the diva. You get the double support ults, especially if they're just running normal Zen goats 3-3. Like this is an insane amount of damage as well, and this is definitely a lot better against tanks. This one, play at the bottom when they don't have a diva, and yeah, essentially you don't need the double support ults. Against Sombra, you need the 3 support ults, because that's how you win fights. But if they're not playing Sombra in their comp, and you want to go with this, and they're playing like a spam comp, for example, then you want to play this one at the bottom. The only difference is that with Ana, you play for the early nano, and you can use nano to essentially cycle your win conditions, which is the tank ultimates. So let's talk about the general game plan. Win with EMP. If EMP isn't on the table, you can kite / play for it and then go hard aggression. If you're coming up to EMP in a fight, for example, and they hard rally, you can use ults to sustain so that your Sombra can stay in the fight and get EMP. And then once you get EMP, it should be an easy going from there. So if you're close to EMP, let's say above 60%, you can realistically play for it against goats. And this is talking about in the goats mirror. As I said, if not, use ultimates to sustain to build up ult charge for your EMP. Yeah, and the most important thing in this comp is clean ult economy. You want to make sure what they have and what you have, and if you can actually win the fight, because there's no point investing in using ults to sustain if you're going to get EMP basically when 3 people die, because then you've wasted ults, and I guess you'll have EMP for the next fight, but you know, they've not forced them to use ults as well, so you want to make sure that you're winning fights and losing fights as cleanly as possible. You're getting as many ultimates out of them while not using as many as many of your own. So the comp matchups. So Sombra Goats is one of the best cards for normal 3-3. Always has been. EMP Shatter is really good. It's just a general win condition that you can go for. Should be played for as much as possible. That is the goal. It's kind of like old Sombra again, where you just played for EMP, but now you do it through sustain and through being on the high ground and zapping down and hacking divas. It's counted as a splash damage like a Farah, and anti-nade due to the lack of a diva in the comp. Has less point presence than normal 3-3. This is true, but there are some maps, for example, like payload maps like Rialto with high grounds, where a Sombra on defense can safely just take the high ground and the diva will have a really hard time contesting her. Because of her translocator and her ability to just leave a fight basically whenever she wants. Whereas if a diva's up there, she's up there basically on her own, whereas the Sombra doesn't. You know, she's just playing for ultimate up there. She's not trying to reliably contest the high ground. But again, it's the same as the Sombra up there. You are the only high ground contest, apart from your Lucio. But it's the same job as the diva, except you're just off-handling and playing for EMP more. In cases where you predict the enemy are going to run 3-3, just go this comp. It's basically only played in mirror. I'll go into detail about matchups and ult usage. Yes, 100% a game of ult economy. You need to know when you win and you need to know when you lose, and you do that through ultimates and situations like what point you're on and such. So the win cons. The ultimate win con is EMP or EMP Shatter. Mostly it should just be EMP. However, sometimes EMP Shatter is needed. If they commit a defensive ultimate, like a trance or a beat, and you EMP Shatter, you can burst through it. You can burst through a beat with Discord and everyone focusing them if they're shattered, and you can burst through Transcendence because of Reinhardt pins, because of Zarya right clicks, and general target focus. If you Discord a target and everyone shoots together at the same time, like a Slept, then you'll be able to burst through Transcendence. Discord and the fact that beat decays over time and you can one shots and Discord allow you basically to burst through both defensive ultimates from the side of normal 3-3. 2 of them, no. But You should be aiming to get at least 2 out of the 3 supports with every EMP. Yeah, so fights where you have EMP are the easy ones to win because you just want an EMP shatter. There are also dynamic win conditions. These are things that change. Dynamic is something that is fluid, that is not set in stone. You should win most fights with EMP. Shatter and Grav aren't guaranteed to win you every fight. But there are sometimes fights where your Reinhardt will just shatter 6 and you win. And then there you go. And you can basically snowball off that. And I'll go into the ult usages in a bit, but these are examples of the Shatter and Grav usage. To peel, to solo ult, to pick a high priority target. If you can Grav, Shatter a high priority target and burst it down, 100% always go for it in Sombra goats, play for the picks, because then you snowball, you build up more ults, and you win the fight. Especially look for Zaryas, they often off-angle or play split, especially if they expect a Mei, for example. If you can get your Sombra in, we've seen a point ourselves, like your Zarya should go down mid and off angle to bubble if they split you off with the Mei wall. Well, then you just go Zarya there, you hatch the Zarya behind because she's not going to be expecting it. She gets hatched, no bubbles, you rush on the Reinhardt, you rush on the Zarya. But most likely you rush on the Zarya because she's split on her own. Yeah, winning a fight off only Shatter or Grav is massive value, as most likely your Sombra will be there to build up EMP because of the damage that her primary Uzi does, and it does quite a lot. So, Ryan Zarya ults in Sombra 3-3. Common uses for Grav and Shatters in 3-3 are peel and split. In fights where you don't have EMP to hold them off, aggro or split the enemy is super value. Yeah, so in fights where you don't have EMP, using them to hold off aggro or to split the enemy is super value. It's really good. Whether it's grabbing a team who rally you and you can't mirror, or shattering them all when you're in Grav. These two ults make losable fights winnable. This includes Grav Shatter, you can combo them together, whether you're in Grav or whether they're in Grav. You can use it to peel high priority targets. You can even, higher level, you can Grav 3 and then push another 3, creating 2 6v3s. Obviously that's quite counter-focus though, because you're used to focusing the people in the Grav. But say for example, if you know their Lucio doesn't have beat, and they have Zen, Brig and Zarya in the Grav, their Zen will obviously trance because it's instinct, and then you just go and kill the Ryan, the Lucio, and the Diva who are split off. Yeah, so these two ults, Ryan and Zarya ults, make losable fights winnable. So as much as your Sombra is the key, if you have a good Ryan and a Zarya and they get really good ults off, you can win fights. 6-man Grav plus Shatter, that's a combo. Instead of hard shielding their Reinhardt, you can just run behind and shatter them instead. So you knock them all down, and then hopefully with both Grav and Shatter used, your Sombra should build EMP basically after she's just used it. So if you've just used EMP and then you Grav and Shatter, all 6 are down, ideally, your Sombra will have EMP for the next fight as well. So there you go. That should ideally be 3-1 fights in a row, just off those 3 ultimates alone. Yeah, instead of pinning, Ryan goes behind Ryan and knocks their whole team down, and you abuse Discord, clean out their Ryan or Zarya, and then boom, easy clap. So, this is defensive ult usage. Rally is used for aggro. You can use it to speed boost and bash Shatter, plus forcing bubbles. If a Zarya sees that you're running on them, she will use bubbles. So if you can kite it and not use cooldowns, and just use a Rally and go hard aggro on their Reinhardt, their Zarya will have to bubble. And she'll probably bubble instinctively. She's like, oh shit, he's about to get run on. And then you wait, the bubble goes down, don't shoot at it, and then you just kill the Reinhardt. Used to sustain, knowing in a fight you can win, for example, with EMP Shatter, as will be clumped up mid-fight, most likely. You use it to stay in the fight. If you know you're close to EMP Shatter, and you don't have anything else, or if you have all 3, for example, and you know that they're not going to grab you, even still, just if there's a chance you can win the fight by getting to EMP Shatter, use the Rally, because it will help you. And then reactively, so if they mirror Rally, basically, and you don't have anything to hold them off or to kite them and to stop them from hard engaging on you. Transcendence, use it for the enemy Grav, sustain, versus not Grav Bomb, obviously, but most teams don't Grav Bomb anymore. Use aggro in fights where they don't have Grav, use it to keep your Rhine up, to keep your Zarya up, to play for the win conditions again, and then reactively, so using it where you need to win a fight, for example. A quick tip for trances, that especially on Second points, you always want to try and force 2 fights. You need to use the trance most likely in the second fight, because if they'll wipe you, they'll most likely come in with their ults to wipe you in the first one, and then you recontest using your ults and then win it. There's obviously a massive advantage in ulting second in Overwatch, and if you can ult second, if they can use all their ults to team wipe you, you respawn and then you win off trance. That's massive value. B, use it obviously to counter shatter. Better teams with target focus will get kills though, which isn't worth it. For example, if it's a 5-man shatter and the Lucio is alive and he beats, it's a waste. Just like their Ryan's hit a 5-man shatter or they've 5-man bash shattered it, just let the fight go. You can use it aggressively, and obviously you can use it reactively again where you need to win the fight. Like if you don't win the fight, you will lose the map, or you will lose the point. So they'll full cap, for example. So yeah, obviously there is cases where you do just need to use the defensive ults to try and prolong the fight so that you can win it and you don't just lose instantly. It's better to lose over time than it is just to lose instantly, Like, even if you commit ults, because it doesn't matter, because the round's going to be ending anyway. And then you have aggro, which is just, essentially, there's no other ultimates out on the field. You don't think they're going to get to shatter, and you can just play for your own ultimates and use B aggressively, and then just roll them. Because it's essentially like a better rally. Yeah, and that's it. That's 10 minutes or so. With the ult usage, and I'll just leave it on this slide for a bit. I'm trying to think of anything else I have to say. Not a lot, honestly. And then I'll get to work on researching the Doomfist one in a bit. But for now, I'll put this slide up in learning resources as well as the full video running through it. Let's hope we can watch this and get some wins and scrims then, and improve our Sombra goats gameplay. Alright, chill.